Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the City of Cleveland TV 20. I'm Errol Porter, and this is Make It in Cleveland, of course, brought to you by the good people at the Cleveland Economic Development Department. And once again, we have a great show lined up, and we talked to one of our great entrepreneurs here in the City of Cleveland, another great business owner, Mr. Haynes. How are you?
Beautiful. Doing real good, Mr. Porter. Great morning, great day.
All right, and you're the owner of Haynes Firestone Tires.
Yes.
And that is where?
Haynes Firestone Tires is located at 13404 Miles Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, in the service area of Union Miles Development Area.
All right, how long have you been there?
We've been there since 1975. Initially, we started out in 1959 with a gas station on 77th and Lexington Avenue in the Huff District, and my father had the vision to have something of his own, so he bought a 10,000 square feet of business in that area. We occupy about 3,000 of it.
Now this is a business he started, he moved down to you and you eventually took over?
Yes, second generation business, yes.
All right. Now you're doing the same things with some of your kids now? Are they anyone working with you, or do you have any yet?
Yeah, I have two kids. They both live in Texas. They're educated. My daughter has her master's degree. Ava, she lives in Houston. And my son has his bachelor's degree. He lives in Dallas. All
right, all right. Now, you started off, you said, with a service station then?
Yes. My father had the vision to be self-employed, and Huey Haynes, Willie Haynes, and Johnny Haynes started the first auto repair business for Haynes in 1959. August of 1959, we just celebrated 64 years of doing business on the east side of Cleveland.
Now, you specialize in tires, I presume. So when made you go to become a specialized area?
Well, I always had the vision to work with my father. I see how successful he was and what he was able to do with the business. And I figure with my college education and the way I'm driven to work, it was a great idea to enhance the business and keep it going.
Now, tires are a very important part of driving a vehicle, of course. And one thing I know you all talk about when you sell your tires, it's about safety.
Oh, yes.
Right. So what do people out there don't know about tires where, hey, you need to get your tires together because this might happen?
Well, I often talk about that. And the first thing is when it's raining and you're driving, the tire's the only thing that keeps the car separated from the ground. So it's no way for the water to channel through a tire with no tread on it. So when you're driving, you don't even know it, but the tires are actually off the ground when you're driving.
Wow.
And most accidents, especially on the expressway, are related to bad tires. So it's important to look at the inside of the tire as well as the outside. And you definitely notice it if you're on the expressway and feel the steering wheel kind of like shimmying. That would be a good example that your tires are worn. And just like anything else, something causes it to happen. So you would need to check your ball joints, your tie rods, your struts, because there's always a cause and effect when something happens.
And you all are full service mechanics?
Yes.
Any problems we have, we can come there, you can pretty much take care.
Yeah, we specialize in tires, brakes, front end alignment, exhaust systems, E-checks, basically everything except for motors or transmissions as far as general auto repair.
Right. Don't do like I do. Wait till the wires are coming out the tires. I've done that a couple of times. Not a good thing. Especially when you take it off and the wires poke you.
Exactly.
So you want to take care of your tires before the wires start coming out. Let's talk about you. Tell us where you grew up at. Who is Mr. Haynes, your personality, and what drives you?
I'm Huey Haynes. I was born and raised in the city of Cleveland. Often the thing about it, my father started the business 3 months before I was born. So I've been around a man working self-employed for himself, taking care of his family. So basically, one thing about me, I'm self-driven. I had great examples for men in my life to be self-driven and an entrepreneur and don't mind taking a chance of making something happen. And the passion was seeing my father do it. It gave me the work habit to do it, because I often tell my kids when they were growing up, they never seen their father laying in the bed. When they got up to go to school, I was gone to work every day, on time, and did what I had to do.
It's being a great example. That's what it takes. Working on cars, and I know usually you have your own projects, hobbies, anything like that over the years where you got to restore or or work on one of your favorite old school vehicles or something like that?
Oh, I don't have one, but I had the first car I was fortunate to get. My father bought me a 72 Cutlass, and that was one of my favorite cars, as well as a 66 GTO. Don't own them, but they were one of my two favorite cars.
All righty. Now, what's the hardest part? What's the hardest job to do on a car? When you see coming, you're like, oh man, we got these ball joints to do, you know. What's difficult?
More than likely electrical or something which you would call intermittent. Right. Just like going to the doctor, you're like, I'm hurting. Then when you get there, he said, well, okay, what is it? It's not doing it. Right. And my dad used to always tell me, he said, when a customer brings their car in, it's something wrong, so it's your job to figure out what they need to satisfy their need as well as correct the problem. Right. So one of the things is trying to get the problem to duplicate while the person is there to correct it.
Right. Now, over the years, I'm sure you run into issues or you want to expand and just grow your business. And a lot of people here in the city of Cleveland turn to the city's economic development department. And I'm sure they've been here to help you out also. Tell us some of the things they've done to help your business grow.
Well, it's ironic that you asked that question. In 2005, like I say, where I'm at now, I own like 10,000 square feet. I occupy like 3,200 of it. So in 2005, I had a problem with my roof. Mm-hmm. So I told my father, we need to sit down and talk about what we need to do. And so God led me to the plan to come up with rehabbing my whole 10,000 square feet, got an architect and a contractor, and came to the city of Cleveland and presented my plans. I had to go back to the review board like twice, right. But it worked out, and got the new roof on there and rehabbed the whole business. And the good thing about it, I was able to develop my retail space that was unoccupied. So I ended up creating 9 new jobs right in my service area where I was at. If I didn't have the vision to do it, it never would have happened. Right, so I was able to uplift the neighborhood as well as create some jobs right in the service area where I'm at.
I'm sure people out there are listening also. When you called the Economic Development Department, how easy was the process? How well did they guide you through?
Oh, it was very easy. Robin was great. Everybody down there, storefront renovation people were great. Everything was great. It wasn't difficult getting the money. The loan interest rate was great. And then I even came back maybe about 4 years ago and bought a front end alignment machine, brand new front end alignment machine, and they helped me get that as well. Right. So it's been an ongoing thing with a relationship with the city of Cleveland. And I have mentioned it to other people about the low interest as well as making sure your project is a goal.
Right. So. All righty. Now, been in business for a while and you're juggling family business, like you said before, you wanted to be the type of dad when your kids woke up, you were going to work. You know, that's what they saw. Now you still have to balance that family life. Now, how did you balance that over the years, the working and being a great dad?
Well, the way that I was able to balance it was I created a schedule where I made sure that I took care of my business part and set time aside for my community as well as my kids and my family as a whole, because I believe in a strong family. Just like this month coming up, I'll be going to see my daughter. And so I make sure I take at least about 3 or 4 trips a year. I have a good crew that still operating while I'm gone. And once you use your time wisely, you have enough time to do it, but you have to focus on what's important and that people know. My dad used to always tell me you have to have set business hours. He used to tell me open on time, right, close on time, and the customers will know when you're available and they'll accommodate you the following day or a day or two later.
Absolutely. Now, are you still getting your hands dirty, changing tires, working on cars, or are you just focusing on the business end right now?
I kind of follow Huey Haynes Sr.'s footsteps. I never did work on cars. Okay. I just oversee the business. I can do a few things, maybe change the oil or fix a tire, but it's enough running the operation. Plus, like I say, where my business is set up, I have tenants next door, so I'm a landlord as well as a business owner, so I have my hands full.
Cool. Now, facing challenges, you talked about that earlier when you had to repair your roof and everything like that. What other kind of challenges have you faced being in business?
Well, one of the challenges is when you look at the dynamics of the geographics of the city of Cleveland, all areas don't prosper as well as other ones. So one of the biggest challenges is the housing stock where I'm at, as well as the other commercial thoroughfares. So they're working on investing more money on the southeast side of Cleveland, right, which will help because the residents need decent jobs, decent pay. Because one thing about it, most people keep their cars maybe 8 or 10 years. So there's plenty of work, but can the customer afford to do that between their rent, daycare, buying kids clothes? So the biggest challenge is funding for my customers. Right. Some of them have lack of the money that it takes because everything is much more expensive now as opposed to before COVID. So that's one of the challenges. But most of all, just enough funding for my customers to get their cars fixed. But all the other stuff challenges I can like deal with.
So over the years, you forged great relationships with the community. Being there so long, have you seen generations come and go of your customers like that?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Yeah, it's always a connection. Probably 90% of my business is referral. I do a very little advertising. Most of them just grandfather, great-grandfather. They knew my uncle or my dad or someone always recommends them to come because I'm a hard worker and I'll be there on time to do what needs to be done.
Absolutely. Now, what's in the future for Firestone? Do you want to continue to grow, open more stores? What's on your mind now?
Well, I graduated from Texas Southern University in 1983, came back home to work with my dad, and he passed away in 2009. So just made my 40th year as far as in the auto repair business. So may do it a few more years, but right now just continue to stay invested in the community that I'm in now. No plans on expanding, just kind of stay where I'm at right now.
Cool. All right. Now, love your story. Everybody out there, where are you located again?
13404 Miles Avenue, near the East 131st Street in Miles, on the southeast side of Cleveland.
And once again, spit out all the services that you all provide.
We provide tires, batteries, shocks, water pumps, exhaust, tie rod ends, which you'll have a lot in Cleveland with the potholes.
Right.
And like I say, ball joints, exhaust. If you need a window put in or a glass put in or a steering column put in or quite naturally the tires and brakes is our biggest thing because people do a lot of driving because a lot of stuff is kind of spread out. Nothing's kind of like centrally in the central area. So brakes is probably number one.
I think everything you mentioned is wrong with my car. I need to bring
well, you know, all roads leads to Haynes.
Right, all roads leads to Haynes. All right, now tell our people out there before we go, what advice do you give some future business owners or people operating businesses in the city of Cleveland on how to succeed?
That's a great question. The first thing is you can take two approaches. The first approach is to buy an existing business that's already open, that already has customers. That's the first approach. And then the second one would be something that you have a passion for, that you're feeling a need. Because you can have the greatest business idea in the world, but is there a need for your product or your service? Right. And then the other thing is very, very important. You have to create a LLC or incorporation, get your federal ID number, get your state number. And then once you start operating, you definitely want to put yourself on payroll and have a W-2. Because what happens is a lot of people have a passion for doing something. They may do it 8 or 10 years, and when they go to the bank to try to, if they come to the city of Cleveland and try to get some funding, they say, okay, let me see your bank records and your tax returns. Oh, I don't have it. So you're not bankable. So we can't just operate after somebody like what you call bootleg or whatever. We have to be established businesses, and it's so important with your taxes, and then also having that money set aside for expenses. You know you got to pay taxes. You know you got to have insurance. You know you have to have a workman's comp. So it's a lot of things that get factored in because you may collect $1 at one time, but do you really get to keep the whole dollar, or how much do you have to actually pay out of that dollar? And you definitely have to have discipline. If you don't have discipline trying to be self-employed, you may as well just go get a job doing something else, because without the discipline, you're not going to be successful. So discipline means I got to get up and do this no matter what. It's raining, I got to go. It's snowing, I have to go. My foot hurt, I got to go. And because I watched my dad, before we got the Firestone, we used to be open 7 days a week. He traveled and did things, the family things, but he worked 7 days a week. And he went no matter what. Wow. So and once you have a passion for what you're doing, you can't help but be successful because you're going to see it through. All
right. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just been schooled by Mr. Haynes, all right? Thank you so much, man. We are so proud of you. Appreciate you coming and spending your time here and sharing your story with our audience. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All righty. Hey, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Make It in Cleveland, brought to you by the city's Economic Development Department, Mayor Justin Bibb and Kathy Allen and the whole crew at TV20. We thank you, and we'll see you next time right here. Don't forget, you too can make it in Cleveland.